No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. Below, we fly that flow. Below, spread that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll. Funk and control. Funk and control. Bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. Funky and free, we fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my sticks got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that splitter over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all.
Greetings, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Financial Ruin Friday. Everything is out of stock! What is happening? Sometimes you can find like one version of the thing that you're looking for in stock. I'm talking about in the US. Yeah, sometimes you can find like one single version of what you want in stock, but forget like any choice. It's like, oh, let me buy a set of 1202.5s. Okay, let's try newbie drone, nothing. Let's try race stick, nothing. Get FPV, nothing. Pyro drone. Oh look, there's one in stock on Pyro drone, the Happy models. I guess I'm getting those. Oh, I need a fucking XR4 receiver. Okay, nope. Amazon, nope. eBay. Oh, eBay, look, one's on eBay, marked up for $15 extra. I guess I'll have to bend over again and just get screwed over. It's just, why? Oh, God. And, like, it's not even, 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago, it was because of war shit. But that's, like, now it's just because there's a group of lunatics in charge destroying everything. Mainly, I guess. I don't know, dude. What's happening? So we're going to look at... We're going to look at some new stuff. We're going to look at, bounce around a couple different websites and look at what's new, because the brand new stuff is sometimes in stock. And then if you guys are looking for something and can't find it, put it in the chat and we will collectively see if we can find it. How does that sound? Does that sound fun? Because that's all I got for you today. I'm tired, man. I'm tired of this shit. I've been trying to get these goddamn AOS Cinas built, and it's just non-stop. Like, oh, the most recent thing was antennas. I need the AOS Cina 3.5 frame is significantly bigger, and the DJI antennas won't reach from the back of this frame to where the 04 Pro mounts. And so it's like, oh great, 120 millimeter antennas won't work. I gotta find 140 millimeter antennas. Nothing. None. Anywhere. None. 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 No, 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 no. Jesse from Tiny Whoop sent me a replacement clone popper. I messaged him and said, yo, I think you might have something going on with the forks on your clone poppers. The fork just broke on the second propeller that I removed. And he sent me a replacement, so that was nice. Although the grappler is back in stock over at Weebleed, and I really like the grappler. The grappler uses these little wires. They're like nicely plastic coated wires, and so these wrap around the propeller blades, and then you kind of like push them in, and they loop in by where the hub of the propeller is, and then it pushes on the pin, and so you don't with the grappler. You don't have to wedge the fork under the bottom of the propeller. And I've always been creeped out when I've had to do that. When I've had to wedge the forks under there, you're having to side load that antenna, and that's putting, a bending force into these unbelievably fragile 1mm motor shafts. So I think the grappler is, and the grappler doesn't do that, right? It just loops around the propeller blades, and then you pop it off. And so this is my new go-to. The grappler is my new go-to for removing tri-blade propellers. It does come with, it comes with a tri-blade little head on it, and then it also comes with a quad head that you could use on bi-blades. But I gotta be honest, man, the Propedial, the 3D printed Propedial, works beautifully for bi-blades. And so I'm just using this for bi-blades, and then I'm using this for tri-blades, and all's right with the world. So yeah, the Proptopussy can chill. This works on tri-blades for sure, but it's very fiddly to get it up in there, and it just kind of drives me mad. So I'm shipping all the Proptopussies to you guys. Whenever you guys win a giveaway or buy something from my Etsy store, I send you a Propedial. This is my little bag of Propedials and Proptopussies. And so, yeah, I printed out a bunch of Proptopusses. And so at the moment, until I get through these Proptovaginas, all the Etsy orders are shipping with those instead of the Propedials. Why am I such a child? But I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep this clone popper where I've always put it. I've been using the clone popper for probably like over a year. I've broken 3 of them. The first 2 that I broke were totally my fault. The clone popper has the thinnest fork. And so the thinnest fork is going to is going to be the easiest to get it under the, or between the prop and the bell of the motor. And so the 2 that I've broken, but, material science, right? Something thin is not going to be super strong. If you're like cranking on the clone popper, it's going to break. And the first 2 that broke, I was absolutely hammering on them. I had a propeller stuck on a 1.5mm motor shaft, and I was really cranking on it, and then it broke. And I was like, that was my fault. And then it happened again, and I was like, that was my fault again. But then this third one, it was not my fault. There was something wrong with it. I did not put much force onto it, and it broke. So, yeah, I'm gonna this fresh one that Jesse sent. I am gonna put it through a bunch of propellers at some point here. But man, I gotta be honest. The grappler is just awesome. And so this is gonna be the main thing I use. But I do want to make sure that, like, you know, that one doesn't break on the second prop that I pull. So yeah, there's that. I took a 45-minute nap. What an absolute mistake. Why do I continue to take naps? And then I got up and I flew my Air 65 Champion V1. This is the old school Air 65 Champion with the first version of the Betaflight 0702 30,000 kV motors. This thing has been awesome. I flew it outside because I've got it set up with like an outside setup with the bi-blades and the Air 65 V2 frame. And I had an admittedly very hard crash, and now it's broken. The ELRS has shit the bed. And so this was the last of the Air 65 V1 AIOs that I have that we're running. So pour one out for this little homie, because this bitch dead. Yeah, sad. I will say this had the least bad. No, I have one more. I have one more Air 65 V1 AIO on the 1.4 inch rig. But yeah, this one did not have many batteries through it, and so yeah, Air 65 V1 strikes again, unfortunately. Let's pull these propellers off with the clone popper and make sure that it survives. I'm very sad. This, look how good it looks, man. It's all red. It's super light. The motors are direct soldered. It's got these really powerful 0702 30,000 kV Betaflight motors. For shame. Boy, oh boy, though, does it seem like the Air Matrix Betaflight's naming convention is tough. The Air V2 Matrix AIO, the one without the front mounting point, the new Betaflight AIO. Boy, does it look like that thing is gonna hold up. It did not break. It's totally fine. I'll bet I got a weird one. So yeah, the new Betaflight AIO seems to be really good. I'm blown away. I've got two of them that I've been pounding on pretty hard, and they're totally fine. So yeah, good job Betaflight getting that figured out. I've been really impressed with Betaflight's how serious they've been taking the feedback that they've been getting from people. Their stuff just continues to improve. And that's more than we get from most FPV manufacturers. You know, most FPV manufacturers, like, they don't seem to really listen to the feedback. Like, they put out a product, and then we give them a bunch of feedback, and then a year later they discontinue it, and they put another product out, and there's no changes, and the same problems are still there. And then a year goes by, and they discontinue that, and they put out another product with the same issues. Betaflight has been just fantastic at incrementally improving their stuff. Every new version has some fixes, and that's I can't believe that I'm like, oh wow, they're listening and fix like it seems insane that, but you know, you would think that all the manufacturers would be like that, right? Like, we're doing free R&D for them. It's absurd that we have to be like, oh, thank you so much for taking all of our free feedback on your shitty product and actually, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's such an abusive relationship in FPV, man. That's like the long and short of it. Like, we're just fucking Stockholm syndromed back to the 1800s with this shit, and we're like, oh, please, daddy, beat me. Is that really what we're like? That's not what we're saying, is it? It is. Dude, I had a good battery going too. I was flying like a man possessed, and then it just imploded. I just switched this thing over too to the Air V2 canopy, and the lighter weight Air 65 V2 Champion Edition frame, and it was flying awesome. I had like 30 seconds of absolute bliss. And then I smashed into something and I tried to not disarm, and then it ping-ponged around the front yard. And then that was that. there was no more ELRS. I was hoping it was just the little antenna that had broken off, but it's not. It's continuing to fail safe when I get more than like 10 feet away. Sad, man. Sad. What's the end of the antenna look like? It's fine. These old school Air 65 AIOs are very lightweight. They made the PCB very thin to save weight. And what Betaflight seems to have figured out is that when we crash these things, we put a bunch of bending force into the frame. And the AIO is a structural member, especially with these lightweight frames. And so the AIO bends, and it 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 bends, and eventually the internal traces that connect things like the ELRS chip to the rest of the flight controller break. And they'll become intermittent. And so these Air 65 boards are notorious for like the VTX will stop working for a minute and then it'll magically come back on. And then it'll get worse and worse and worse as you continue to taco the frame. And then eventually it'll just die all the way. And so, yeah, the ELRS on this is, it went from being fine to being, it's actually kind of intermittent right now, but it's not intermittent enough to get through a whole battery. Like you fly it for 10 or 15 seconds and it fail safes and just, and then the ELRS won't reconnect. It's broken. It's broken. So yeah, sad days, but I'll pull it apart and, the camera and canopy will get used somewhere else. Yeah, see, this antenna is totally fine. It's kind of sort of behaving like the antenna has broken off completely, but not really. It's broken. So yeah, there's that. In the chat, Sporty says perfect AIO for self proximity flying. Yeah, right. In the chat, Frank Dr. Nicholas was first. Chaser FPV was next. Jeremy Flies FPV. Sporny, Uke. Matthew Wagner, Mr. Clean, Doc Holiday, Nathan Wells, Kylo Meters, Uriel, License to Drive, Sear, Flakadelic, Chuck P, Julio, Zip, LOL the Kittison, Dagul, Fizz, El Chingon, Zip again. What's up, people? I forgot to turn the TV off. Top Gear is back there banging away. Hopefully it's not loud enough that I get copyright dinged, but if I do, it's my own goddamn fault. It just went very quiet, though. What happened? I didn't realize that there is a lot of old school Top Gear on YouTube, which is great because it's hard to watch old school Top Gear. I have a folder on one of these hard drives with 300 and something gigs of every single Top Gear season, every single special that James, Richard, and Jeremy have ever done. So for me, it's not hard, but although I don't have a great way of getting those onto the. No, that's not true. I do now. There's a Mac Mini hooked up to the TV. The older PlayStations, like the PlayStation 3, was an insane media server. It would play like anything, so you could. Back then, it was really, really nice. PlayStation 4 was not as good. Now PS5, is it? Are we on to PS5 yet? Yeah, we are. 1, 2, 3, 4 upstairs. 5 is here. Yeah, the PS4 and 5 were not great. They had much better anti-copyright shit built in, and so they wouldn't. There's a lot of stuff that they wouldn't play. PlayStation 3 for life, friends. But yeah, I still have my PS3. I had it hooked up for a little bit. This is always the most difficult part with these Air 65 frames, is getting the BT 2.0 battery lead through them. It always feels like you're about to break the frame, but just keep pushing. You'll be fine. CiottiFPV 2026. Just keep pushing, bro. Works in many ways. Works in life. Just keep going, man. Just God damn it. Clam Man, look. Take Clam Man seriously. Hakita Vendeo. Never give up, you bastards. I'm putting these screws back in the frame because I love to lose these really little screws. I wish they would make the screw holes in these frames like 0.0001 millimeter smaller, so that these screws would stay in here. They stay in there a little bit, like, but then they don't. You! As one of them just falls out. If you get them threaded the majority of the way through, they'll stay out. Just riveting live stream content tonight. This one fell here. All right. Tag me in the chat if you want to talk directly to me. Go to CiottiFPV.com if you like these live streams. Would like to see them continue. This is totally crowdfunded. I need your help. This is a small operation. Every $3 a month helps a ton. There is a giveaway live stream coming up. So if you're on the $3 a month tier, you might as well go to the $5 a month tier, because eventually you'll win, and you'll win like $50 worth of Tiny Whoop stuff. And that'll easily pay for those extra $2. As every gambling addict knows, you can't win if you don't play. So get in and win. And you'll also support me, and it'll be great. We'll all hang out together and learn shit and fly better stuff and laugh and pee our pants. It'll be awesome. Uriel says, yes, it was in stock. The Eagle landed in EU somewhere. The shit, man. Awesome. Thank you, Uriel. Uriel has very kindly bought a Flywoo wide-angle 04 for me to test, and it took him a while to find one. Well, he found one that was in stock, but then he was getting kind of screwed around, and it's just ridiculous. Uriel says, WTF, is that a DJI Air wide lens manual? It is not. No, this is a 04 Pro that Capsy very kindly sent me when Fly High gets these back in stock. They're on the way to Fly High. I'm going to order one and have it sent directly to Capsy. But on a previous live stream, I'd said, yo, I need an an 04 Pro as soon as possible to get these things built and ready for the April 11th event. And a bunch of you guys, thank you for sacrificing your 04 Pros to the cause. And being willing to send them over. That was very, very cool. Apparently there's a bunch of these on the way to a bunch of different places. So, yeah, we won't be so hard up for Air 4 Pros sooner than later. But at the moment, Air 04 Pro is a perfect example of just something that is 100% out of stock. You cannot get these. You cannot buy a brand new 04 Pro here in the US. Nyafu, in our chat, is buying them overseas and then shipping them, but it takes a little bit of time, and I didn't necessarily have that much time available to me. But yeah, there are ways of getting them, but you can't just like go on Pyrodrone or Fly High and order one today. Soon you will be able to, though. Yuke says, Mobula 8 analog. What about it? Is that something that we need to look for to see if it's in stock? Anybody seen a Mobula 8 analog in stock anywhere? FizzPV says, at least vintage drum gear is now cheap again. Why What is there any reason that you know of for that? Is it just because everybody's broke and our economy is going to collapse sooner than later? For the Win says, "Yo, happy Friday! Outside flying my Air 75 with 32,500 kV motors while I watch the stream tonight. Very cool. Tree toppers. I love my. I'm gonna be sad to see this one go. This is my 1S 75 millimeter 1.6 inch prop build that's on those tree toppers 802 32,500s. This is one of the 75 millimeter rigs that's for sale. I haven't quite had a chance to get it up on the Etsy store yet, but it will be going up on there. Yeah, the tree toppers are great. They are next to the GetBarC 1002 25,000s. They're the best of the 1.6 inch prop whoop motors. The Betaflight 802 28,000s, I believe they are. They're the highest kV motor that you can get on the Air 75 V2 right now. Those are the third best, but there's a huge problem with them in that they only have 1 millimeter motor shafts, and so they're going to be very fragile, especially flying outside 75 millimeters, crashing hard into concrete and, you know, your house and trees and shit. So yeah, the tree toppers and the GEP 1002 25,000s are really the kings right now because they've got that 1.5 millimeter motor shaft and they make enough power. I like the GetBarCs over the tree toppers, if I'm totally honest. They make a little bit more power and they get a little bit more runtime. I'm guessing because they're a wider stator that stays really cool. Your mileage is going to vary on that. If you fly slower outside, the tree toppers are going to be more efficient for you. If you fly fast outside, the 1002s are going to be better. Hey, baby!
Hey, honey.
How was everything?
I'm tired.
Are you?
Happy Friday.
Yeah. Chris says, what do you think of the Rate W20 HD04? What the hell is that? Looks like a 2-inch Caillou Mini clone. Let's see. Yeah, this is a very product-focused live stream tonight. So, like, any product that you want me to take a look at, yeah, let me know. Rate W20. What an odd name. Oh, look at this thing. Yeah. All right. So it's got the A-arm design, which I absolutely hate. This A-arm design. Is there a better picture of it? There's not. I guess that's the best picture of it. So this A-arm design sometimes can be a little bit better for resonance, but the problem is that you're splitting the arm in half. And so if you smash into something here, it's going to very easily break this half-thick arm up here. So that's a little scary. I will say this thing is so small that the chance of you crashing and putting something exactly right here is pretty slim. On a 5-inch rig, I'm way more worried about that, right? Because the arm is way longer. It's a much bigger target. So yeah, this could be okay. We don't see the A-arm setup all that often. We typically see one single arm, which kind of means that the one single arm is a better kind of setup. But it's, you know, again, this can potentially help with resonance. On these itty bitty frames, you typically don't have many problems with resonance. So I don't know. It feels like on this one, it might just be there for like, hey, look, it's different. It must be better. Different is not always better, friends. 1202 and a half, 11,500 kV motors. That's a good motor choice for a little 2-inch setup like this. So it's probably going to make tons of power. 15 amp AIO. That's a good. That's good. That's what you want. Yeah, it's doing the Caillou Mini thing where the bottom plate sticks out a little bit farther, and then you've got a big chunk of TPU, and then it screws into the top plate. So that's pretty cool. So the brand is Rate. They're not saying that the AIO is made by anybody that we know. So I'm assuming that everything is made by Rate. I've never heard of them before, so God only knows if they're doing good quality, if that's a good quality AIO or good quality motors, right? It's a total question mark. More than likely, the AIO and motors are made by someone else, and they're just whitelisting it as Rate. So, depending on who made this AIO and who makes this motors, that makes these motors, they could be great, or they could catch on fire. It's super hard to tell, right? Without camera and VTX, it's $108. That's about right. With 04 wide, what do they mean by 04 wide? I wonder. 04 wide. I'm sure they're not going to tell us anything about that, but that kind of sounds like it's maybe the 04, the Flywoo wide angle lens. We've got like no information whatsoever on this thing, so it's really hard to tell. So yeah, I mean, it's a massive question mark. This thing is a huge gamble. We don't know who Rate is. We don't know who's making these motors. We don't know anything about the AIO or the frame or anything, right? And so this is a super question mark. The price is where it should be. If I'm going to buy a something like this that's a complete question mark and a total gamble, I want it to be kind of cheap. So, yeah, that's tough. It could be good. It could blow up immediately. It's almost impossible to tell. I don't trust reviews anymore, so we can't even. There were like 2 reviews that I think said it was good. I don't trust reviews anymore. It's just too easy to tell your cousin to leave a review on your product, and yeah, or to send it to one of the many reviewers that just say that everything is the greatest ever, and to click their affiliate link. So that's tough. Could be good, could be great. It's just hard to know. Some of the specs are good though. The motor size is great. The motor kV is great. The 15 amp, the AIO being 15 amps is great, right? And so like some of the basics are there. But those basics are easy. It's easy to choose the right motor size and kV. So that's tough. Ramalala says there's no 1.5 millimeter fitting to the prop popper. Is that correct? Yeah, sort of. None of these propeller pullers have a 1.5 millimeter pin on them. Well, no, that's not true. I think the Weebleed one. I think the Weebleed fork based one, you can swap the pin out, but you don't need to. The 1 millimeter pin fits into the 1.5 millimeter hole, and so yeah, the 1 millimeter pin is totally fine. So you don't. But you're technically correct. Yes, there are no 1.5 mil specific prop poppers, but we don't really need that. Make sure that before you push the plunger down with the pin, that it's not sideways and you won't bend the pin. I've never bent one of those pins on them, but yeah, if you're removing a propeller, make sure that the prop popper is not sideways like this, because if it's sideways and you push the plunger, you could bend this little 1 millimeter pin. Make sure that it's always square with the propeller, and then when you push down with that pin, it won't side load it and bend it just like the motor shafts. Julio says, I ordered some stuff from Etsy last week. Send you a message. Was wondering if you had the chance. When I fulfill an Etsy order, they will send you an email. So if you haven't gotten that email yet, I haven't shipped it quite yet. I try to batch these shipments out on Saturdays. So yeah, it'll probably go out tomorrow. Moton FPV says, thanks for the 1.5mm drill bit. Makes props install so much easier. You're certainly welcome. The most popular items on my Etsy store, speaking of, are the 0.99mm and 1.5mm drill bits. With those, before you put a propeller on, one of these little itty-bitty propellers that doesn't use T-mount screws, you drill it out so that it's 0.99mm inner diameter or 1.47mm inner diameter. And then it's easier to put it on the motor so that you don't bend the motor shaft when you're putting the propeller on. And then it's easier to remove from the motor so that you don't bend the motor shaft when you're removing the propeller. Installing and removing propellers are two of the easiest ways to bend motor shafts. And so, yeah, drilling them out properly, since the manufacturers don't do it for us, don't mold them for us properly, is kind of a necessity. I kind of sort of understand why the prop manufacturers don't make the inner diameter perfect, which is because there are so many different motors out there. The motors have slightly different thickness motor shafts. And if you make a propeller where the inner diameter is too big for a certain motor, that sucks. If you make the inner diameter a little bit too small, then everybody can use it. It's just the people using the motors with the slightly thicker motor shafts are going to have a harder time putting them on and taking them off. So, yeah, for Gemfin and HQ, it makes a lot of sense for them to use the inner diameters that they are using so that their propellers work on all the motors. It takes 60 seconds to drill these propellers out before you put them on, so it's super easy. The drill bits are $5 each, and you're supporting me. So, yeah, hopefully that's worth it for you. Kozak FPV says, hey, man, did you ever get some filters you found worked well on the light AF75 to help stop all the fluttering? Yes, I did an entire live stream about it, actually, where we looked at the logs and all the things. Oh, hold on. I gotta shut this down here, copy and paste. If you go to somebody's channel on YouTube, there's a little magnifying glass here. This will allow you to search on their channel. Let's see if this will work. Light AF 75. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe doing a Conqueror. Nope, this ain't the one. It's from a year ago, 7 months ago, 3 weeks ago. Here we go. 75mm frame comparison testing. This is the one. 75mm frame smackdown. So yeah, in this live stream, hey! In this live stream, Air 75 2 frame. Here we go. Newbie drone, Cockroach 75 light AF. And then if we shuffle through here, there we go. So we got some black box logging. Yours should be fairly similar to mine. There are the two peaks. And then we came into Betaflight. And we put 2 filters on it. Why would you choose 480p? So it looks like we did a... Come on. Looks like we did a D-term notch with the center at 185 and the cutoff of 155, and then we did a gyro notch with the center at 435 and a cutoff of 400. I might have then refined those filters. You'll have to watch the live stream. Also, in that live stream, I go through the process of black box logging, how to set it up, how to pull the logs in. It's really not difficult. I avoided it for way too long. Yeah. If you've got an AIO with blackbox on it, learn how to do this, because every build is going to be a little bit different. Air density changes things. The way you fly changes things. How tight you make your screws changes things. The weight of the quad changes things. And so, yeah, if you have the absolute exact same build as me and you're at the same elevation as me and you fly exactly the same as me, sure, you can copy my homework. But that's probably not the case. So figure it out. It's not difficult. I've walked through it a bunch of times in the last couple of weeks. It's really, really, really nice to know. Sporty says perfect AIO for self proximity flying, in reference to the the broken one. Double Jose says, I've been waiting for my HD0 goggles tracking info for 2 weeks now, and their warehouse is in my state. That's the most FPV comment I've ever read on a live stream. Send them an email, man. They're I'm sure they're busy, but they'll get back to you. God forbid, like, your order got shuffled to the bottom of a pile that it doesn't belong to be in. You know what I mean? Just shoot them an email, or message them on Discord, or Instagram or Facebook or something like that. Get in touch with them. Be like, hey, 2 weeks seems like a bit much. Matthew Wegner says the heritage of Plex is actually as a port of XMBC, Xbox Media Center. Really? For modded original Xboxes. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. The Mini that's hooked up to the TV, it has a hard drive hooked up to it that my dad had set up as a Plex. I've not taken the time to figure out how to do that. I need to do that one of these days. Because I can set that up as a Plex server, and then around the house I'll be able to access it. At the moment, I just go onto the Mini and just go through the folders and find whatever I want and double click it and launch it in VLC. Ramalala says, cool, same here, though none of the bits are for 1.5 millimeters, just bigger setting, which is weird, right? What? What did For the Wind say? For the Wind said, was that the comment? Thanks for the 1.5 millimeter drill bit? No. I'm confused. Yeah. Tag me again and say it like you're talking to an 8-year-old, and then I'll be able to understand it. Skyscraper says, any way to make the Walk Snail 1S light more durable, whether it be a mount or a case or any other mod you can think of? Nope. I broke 4 of them and tried a bunch of different things. They're just... Look, none of the HD ultra lightweight setups are ever going to be durable, I don't think. The 04 Lite is also not very durable. We're asking for too much. We're asking for it to be too lightweight on one board with 1,000 things crammed in it with no case around it. Like, it's unreasonable to expect it to be durable. Mounting it, and then we mount it in a plastic frame that tacos all over the place every time we crash, right? And so we're just asking for too much. The only way to make it more durable is going to be to mount it in like a big, thick, strong carbon fiber frame that's never going to flex, right? But that's not what we want from Tiny Whoops. That doesn't really work. And so yeah, it's tough. I will say that the 04 Lite is a lot more durable than the Walk Snail Lite. I've only broken one 04 Lite, and I've flown them a lot more. The Walk Snail Lights were breaking all over the place on me. I mean, they were breaking like every 20 or 30 batteries, maybe even less. Walk Snail did repair a bunch of them for me, and sent me and sent them back. But I had to pay for that. It was not free. So, yeah. Thrash FPV says, what motor size in KV for 75mm 2S? It depends. 1002... 1002 between 10 and 14,000 kV is the only like blanket answer I can give to that. You can also do 802. Those will work if you want it to be lighter weight. You can also do 1102 if you want a little bit more power, and for it to stay a little bit cooler. 10,000-ish kV if you want more efficiency than power, but still really good power. 14,000 up to 14,000 kV if you want more power than efficiency. And so yeah, it's different for everybody. You know, everybody wants a different amount of runtime versus power versus all up weight. And so but that's the bracket. That's the range that you want to be in. 802 to 1102. And then 10,000 to 14,000 kV. Thrash says, also, what's a 30mm flight controller you recommend since the Speedy Bee has been discontinued? Oh boy, I haven't looked at 30mm flight controllers in forever, so I have no idea. But when it comes to electronics, my typical go-to is the expensive T-motor stuff because it's made by Acon. And Acon has made the best electronics in FPV for the last, like, 8 years. Maybe less than that. But, yeah, I stick with the T-motor stuff. The T-motor expensive stuff. And it's been really, really good. Doc Holiday says, Nick Burns just posted a video of that Rate W20 HD04. There you go. Go check out Nick Burns' video. He's awesome. Frank Dr. Nicholas dropping the link to it. Thank you, dude. What I will say is that Nick... he flies these things more than any other reviewer other than me. And so his reviews are usually after at least 5 to 10 batteries, which is great. I love that. But you're probably going to fly these things for more than 5 or 10 batteries. And so just understand that he's not putting 100 batteries through it and just like absolutely torturing it to see how it lasts over a 6-month period. He can't do that, right? Like that's a completely unreasonable thing to ask. But what Nick does not do that most other reviewers do is fly 1 or 2 batteries and then this is the best product ever. It's the most durable thing ever. Click my affiliate link, right? Nick flies these things enough that he gets a really clean battery or 2 or 3 to play for you. And that takes time. And so sometimes he'll do 20 or 30 batteries to get like 1 full battery where it's totally clean beginning to end. I mentioned that Top Gear was still on and then I forgot to turn it off, but it just turned itself off. So that's great. And so, but again, just understand that him liking it means that the first 10 or 20 or 30 batteries, it's doing really well. It does not mean that it's going to withstand 100 or 200 or 300 batteries worth of abuse. That is really, really difficult. That's what you're going to look for, like a freestyle pilot that bashes and crashes a lot. And is flying it in office parks and parking and you know, concrete parking lots and bandos and shit like that, right? And we don't really get much of that with micros. We only really get to see stuff like that typically with 5-inch builds. So just keep that in mind. But if Nick says something is good, that's about as good as you're gonna get from a review, unless there's some other freestyle pilot hammering on it for, you know, a couple months. El Chingon says Nick Burns did a review. Frag Nectar Nicholas says 04 wide on Rate is a camera enclosure for the 04 light camera that includes a wide angle lens. Okay, so that sounds like it's a lens in front of the 04 lens, which is not a great idea. I would rather use the regular old 04 lens and just deal with the less field of view, because a lens in front of a lens sucks. It creates all kinds of weird shit when you look directly at the sun, and it's just kind of a bad solution to not having the field of view that you want. So I don't love that, but, you know, again, check out Nick Burns' review. He's going to have a bunch of flight footage there, and if the flight footage looks okay to you, that's all that matters. Uriel says, at those sides, I check if there are sold a lot. If in China, a lot sold, it's okay. At those sides? What sides? YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up. Yamasaur says, have you tried Newbie Drone 802 30,000s for 1S 75mm? I have not. That is a 1mm motor shaft motor, which I am uninterested in for 75mm builds, because those are outdoor builds and 1mm motor shafts are just not strong enough for outdoor builds like that. So yeah, they could be good, but they're not going to last. And that just doesn't make any sense. You know, they've also got the small JST 1.0 plugs on them, which are going to suck. And so, yes, they do have the PCB at the motor, so you could solder on a JST 1.0, a 1.25 plug and wire set. But again, 1mm motor shaft is not what you want for outdoor. And you can literally see it right here. This is the motor shaft here at 1mm, and then outside here, this is the 1.5mm shaft that goes down through the stator. That is dumb. But most of the propellers are only 1mm, and so it makes sense that everybody has been making tiny whoop motors with a 1mm motor shaft above the bell. Unfortunately, that will bend pretty easily, especially if you're flying it outside, crashing it on a heavy 75mm rig into hard objects. So, yeah, not really interested. Levster says, you told me to remind you to get a RPM reading on the GEP-RC 1002 25,000 kV. I told you the 0802 28,000 kV from Betaflight make 51,000 RPM. I actually remembered to do it before the live stream when I was trying to fly a few batteries to play at the intro and outro of the stream. But instead what I did is I flew for like 1 minute on the Air 65 Champion before it grenaded the ELRS. And then I flew for like 20 seconds on the GEP-RC 1002 25,000s before it threw a propeller. And I said, you know what? Today's not a good flying day. I'm going back to fuck inside and live streaming. So that was my day prior to the live stream. But when I disarmed, I made sure to go full throttle with the GEP-RC motors. And when I disarmed from the propeller flying off, there will be an RPM reading. So let's take a look. This is with the HQ biblades. So here comes a big old full throttle hit right here. Oh. And so now when I crash into the house and a propeller flies off and I disarm, we've got 52,112 RPM. So you were seeing 51,000 on the 802 28,000 GEP-RC motors. I'm sorry, 802 28,000 Betaflight motors. So yeah, the GEP-RCs are doing a little bit more RPM than that. The big thing though is that the GEP-RC motors have a 1.5mm motor shaft, so they're gonna be a lot more durable than those Betaflight motors. So just don't crash, bro. Here's the last flight of the Air 65 Champion. I was on fucking fire too, man. I was all excited to fly. These azaleas are all blooming and shit. I cleared out. I spent like almost 2 hours in the garden a week or two ago, clearing out all the scraggle from underneath the from these to make the paths between these plants more flyable, like there, for example. Here's the crash that killed it. It was a pretty nasty one. I think it should be right up around in here. Yeah, here it is. So bang into the side of the house, and we are... So, okay, so that's funny. It was that first hit into the side of the house. It went directly into RX loss. You ever wonder if your ELRS shit the bed? If you bash into an object, into a hard object like that, and it immediately goes to RX loss, yeah, you broke it. And so, yeah, now it's in failsafe, and so I power cycled it, I brought it back. This is actually kind of interesting. Ready? It goes into failsafe at full throttle, and it was stuck at full throttle here. Wait, you can actually kind of hear it, probably. Ready?
Nope, it's broken.
Here you go. Ready?
Nope, it's broken. That's broken.
And then I power cycled it one more time, and I was like, "Oh, it's fine." Ready? And it's not fine. Oh, nope. It gave me another second. Here goes. And I'm dead. That's what it looks like when you lose the ELRS on there. So yeah, that stinks. But that's what the previous gen Air 65 AIOs do. You crash them hard, they blow up. Either the ELRS dies or the VTX dies, and that's that. Thank you for the reminder, Levster. Yamasaur says, I think stock and everything related to shipping is going to continue to get worse. Oh yeah, with diesel prices going through the roof for obvious reasons. Yep, it's gonna. We are just, yeah. We ain't seen nothing yet. It is gonna get so much worse because greedy people are pieces of shit and should be beaten with hammers. Sporny says FPV drone racer, best shop in Europe, had a big fire in the warehouse a few days ago. I hope they can get back up. Sad story, really. That is a really shitty story, man. FPV is such a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche that stuff like that hurts the whole industry. Like a whole, if nothing else, a shitload of products just went out of stock because of that. You know what I mean? Obviously, the folks that run that shop, it's horrendous for them. It takes, to run an FPV shop, you got to be kind of crazy. To do FPV as a job in any way, shape, or form is pretty crazy. And so anybody that's willing to do it that is not, actively working with evil people is deserving of our love and affection. And yeah, so support FPV folks because it's very difficult. FizzPV says, sorry, was listening while driving. I got handed two 13-inch pearl brass piccolos to rehab and customize. Oh shit, those are snare drums for those of you that aren't music nerds. I've always wanted a piccolo snare drum. They have a very sharp, very fucking sound to them, but they're expensive. All right. Ramalala says, if that was 1S, that's awesome. Yeah, man. Gep RC 1002 25,000s are mega. Unbelievable the amount of power that they make. The tree toppers are great too from Weebleed, but boy, the Gep RC 1002 25s are bananas. Doc Holiday says, on my setup, the OSD link quality for the goggles blinks and all values are blank. Where did I mess up with VTX transmitter setup go wrong? I have poor link quality inside. That's weird. So on this Cine 3.0 build that I just finished up, for the first time in 10 years in FPV, my link quality and RSNR are just all zeros. And I've never seen that before. I haven't started to troubleshoot it yet. I took a look at my only thought so far has been that maybe so your transmitter sends the signals to the receiver, and then the receiver TX pad transmits those signals to the flight controller's RX pad, which receives, RX for R for receive. And so this is flyable. And so I thought maybe the RX pad, the receive pad on the receiver, and the transmit pad on the flight controller maybe that wire was broken, or it didn't get soldered properly, or something like that. And so I took a look, and they look fine. That's all I can think of. I don't know what else to check. I've never had that problem before, and I don't understand how it's flyable without there being that. Maybe there is something buried in there that I got wrong. I did do... This was a flight controller that was on Crossfire, and it wasn't on Crossfire. It was on FR Sky, and when I put it into this, it was on Betaflight 4.2, and so I updated Betaflight. What's going on here? Why is there a gap in my eyebrow? It's gone. Now it's still there. What's happening? Are my eyebrows falling out? Hold on. Let me just look real quick in the mirror. Hold on. Is it? It's just... I don't know. It looks fine in the mirror. Are my eyebrows going gray? Do eyebrows go gray? Is that a thing? Sporty says, just a new gap to hit. The eyebrow gap. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand. But oh yeah, I was saying I did a diff in the CLI, and then I grabbed all that from Betaflight 4.2 and dropped it into Betaflight 4.5. And that's not usually a great idea. I did go through and take a look at all the stuff, and I removed a bunch of stuff that I didn't want transferring over, but maybe I missed something. And so if you do that, if you go from an older version of Betaflight to a newer version of Betaflight, and you don't just start from scratch, and just go through the menus and set everything up one by one, you're running the risk of copying and pasting something over that they have changed the name of in the new Betaflight, or they've changed, like, they've changed the name of one of the options, and so you copy and paste something from the old version of Betaflight, and it sets the option incorrectly. So one of the first things I'm going to do with this, as part of this troubleshoot, is going to be to reinstall. I'm going to go through it currently, take screenshots of how everything is set up, and then reinstall Betaflight 4.5 and go through one by one, just, you know, menu by menu by menu by menu, and not do the diff all. So if you did the same thing, maybe you got hit by the same kind of deal. But yeah. Ooh, Matthew Wegner, good call. Older RC systems use RSSI channel on the receiver tab. For ELS, you have to set it to disabled. Let's look at that right now, actually, because maybe that's the problem that was it Doc Holliday? Maybe that's the problem that Doc Holliday is having as well. Let's take a quick look. This is very annoying. These AOS Cineframes have a standoff right on top of the side of the 25 by 25 mounting. They did not leave a gap. And so in order to, on the Acon AIO, which has the USB port on the side, in order to plug into USB, you have to remove a standoff every single time. And basically what's going to happen is that this standoff is going to strip out. So I don't know if they give... I think maybe they give you an extra standoff, which is good. But yeah, this is admittedly annoying. And you can't just not run this standoff, because the standoff is where the center bottom plate and the side plate connect. And so without that standoff... these two pieces of carbon fiber hit each other, and they're going to create all kinds of havoc and mayhem and yada, yada, yada. Good call, dude. Very, very, very good call. I totally forgot about that. I have moved setups over. They also put that standoff so close that with these Acon AIOs, I've had to take a Dremel and Dremel a groove into the USB port so that it won't hit the standoff. Not great. I've not been happy about that. These are $120 AIOs that I'm putting into these things, and I'm sitting there with a goddamn Dremel on the USB port like, hey, look, if this USB port breaks off, this $120 AIO is worthless. Cool! Receiver. Analog RSSI input is turned off. I believe this is the one. Although, is it this one? Is it this? Enable telemetry output to send to transmitter. I think this is supposed to be off. Let's try it. It's easy enough to try it. All I gotta do is turn these gurgles on. Gargle, gargle. Curved standoffs? No, that wouldn't work. I need a 4S battery. If you've got a battery that stops flying right and you hook it up to your charger and there's a bunch of internal resistance on one cell versus the other cell, draw big X's on it, and now you know it's your shitty battery that you use for like bench work and whatnot. All right, let's see. Give me some telemetry. Nope. Well, let's give it a second. Oh, the transmitter needs to be on. Shitters. Hang on. All right. Connect, Nomad. It could be some weird setting in Nomad, but I doubt it. But it could. It could be. All right. ELRS just connected. Now. Still no LQ. And -30 RSNR. Very weird, man. What's even weirder is that someone else is dealing with it. Damn. Yeah, like this alarm. It just armed. And I've got basically no telemetry. No receiver telemetry, I should say, is what I don't have. Very, very weird. What the hell could it be? It's not in the ports because you just turn on serial RX and then that's it, you know? MSP display port, that's OSD related. Configuration, accelerant, I don't need to have the barometer on, so I could turn that off. 3.2, OSD, air mode is off, GPS, in-flight, no, that's not that. OSD is turned on, soft serial, that's right. What the hell? What is it? Let me save and reboot to lock in the barometer is now turned off. I mean, let me look in the receiver tab. That's the only other place that there would be. Telemetry output, I think should be. Maybe I need to. I mean, it didn't work. Turned on or off. Ooh, RSSI channel. That's the problem. There it is. That's it. RSSI channel needs to be disabled. That's it. I think that's it. Let's find out. Save it. Disconnect. Reconnect. Receiver tab. Okay, I might need to turn telemetry output back on, but I forget. I've not had to turn this switch off or on in forever. So let's see. This will be an interesting test. Nope. All right, I do need to turn that back on. Let's see if it'll work live. Oh, I do have to reboot it. Hey! Suck it, Trebek! Awesome. Very, very cool. So there you go. Doc Holliday. Hopefully that fixes it for you. If that doesn't fix it for you, I have no idea. That's such a weird problem. The only reason that I had that problem is because this AIO was on FR Sky. And FR Sky requires you to have an RSSI channel because old stuff is old and moldy. Look at that, man. Hell yeah. We got telemetry. This thing is now done. It flies great too. This frame is very solid. This AIO is fantastic. This thing is like rock solid out there. These motors at 3800 kV are a little bit low. I'm a little bit worried that it doesn't have quite enough power, but I'm gonna bug the shit out of Maggie to come out with me and drive 40 miles an hour, which is like kind of the max speed that the cyclists go. And I'm gonna pace her and see what the throttle value is at. If I weren't such a lazy shitbag, I would put GPS on this, but I would not keep GPS on this, so screw you. I'm not wiring a bunch of extra shit to this just to then remove it so that I can get a speed. It's easier to just find a little road in the middle of nowhere real quick and chase Maggie's TSX Sport Wagon down the road. And to be honest, that's fun. So yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not at like 90% throttle at 40 miles an hour. Once I get one of the other builds up, which are going to be on more powerful motor setups, it might be totally obvious whether or not this is underpowered. But yeah, I think I'll be all right. I also have to do some propeller testing with this. It's got these old, but very well balanced HQ 3x3x3s on it. I also want to try this on the Gemfin 3052s, and there's another 3-inch tri-blade that I want to try it on. So yeah, I got some flying to do with this, but early testing is really good. This Nomad antenna setup is absolutely gnarly. I flew this over to the spot, and the 04 system. I flew this over all the way to the end of the block and a house over to the left where analog, even on 400 milliwatts, starts to get really nasty. And like, it didn't give a shit, man. Like this antenna setup with Nomad, with 04 Pro is a monster in terms of signal strength and quality. So yeah, that was the whole point. That's the whole point. The whole point was to go to 04 Pro, but that was the secondary point of this new fleet of rigs, is to have the absolute best possible antenna and link quality setup, so that at these live broadcast events where it is the Wild West in terms of noise floor, it'll have a rock solid connection, and I can hopefully chase these guys even farther, or just be safer to never have a failsafe, which I had a bunch of on Crossfire. I've actually been pretty disappointed by the performance of Crossfire, if I'm completely honest. I know that Crossfire is still sort of the gold standard for folks in the professional FPV world. There are some serious limitations of 900 megahertz, and like, yeah, it works really well, and it works way better than FR Sky did, and all the other links that came before it. But Crossfire is very old. Crossfire is like 5 or 6 years old, and they haven't changed shit. You know, like, they have not improved Crossfire in 2 or 3 years, if not longer. And ELRS has continued to improve and improve and improve, as many open source projects do, like Betaflight, right? Like Betaflight is unquestionably the best flight firmware, and it's open source. You know, it's had passionate people putting lots of time and lots of effort into it, rather than like one or two people that have to make decisions based on what makes them money, you know? And so ELRS is just, you know, ELRS 900 is better than Crossfire. Nomad absolutely blows it out of the water, and it's been around for long enough where like we know it to be good. And so, yeah, I hope to see more working professionals moving to Nomad because it's just better. Motan says, I built a... Wait, no, I'm jumping ahead. Where the hell am I in the chat here? Doc Holiday says, on my setup, the OSD link quality for the goggles blinks and all values are blank. Where did I mess up with VTX transmitter setup? All right, I read that one. FizzPV says, I can hook you up with one of them. We can work out a trade. What's them? The snare drums. No shit. LOL, I'm not a piccolo guy, so not much use for me unless I convert it to an electronic snare. Sweet, dude. Although I gotta be honest, I'm pretty vain when it comes to the drum set. They have to be like the right color. I know that's insane. So hopefully they are, because that would be super awesome. But yeah, dude, shoot me a couple pictures. That would be hysterical. Also, like, the other thing is that like I don't spend really any money on the drum set because I don't really play it all that often. I play like maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, and like I only usually play for about 10 minutes before I get frustrated because I'm not nearly as good as I used to be. But yeah, shoot me a couple pictures. It would be, maybe that would get me to play more, right? Potentially one of the reasons I don't play anymore is that I haven't changed anything on this drum set other than converting my double pedal back to a single pedal in literally 20 years. And so maybe having an awesome sounding snare drum would get me over there a little bit more. Because I did get, I am better than most. Yeah. And it's fun to do things that you're decent at. It's hard to do things that you haven't done in a long time, though, and that you've gotten kind of worse at, you know? Doc Holiday says, it's on the new Matrix 1S 12 amp AIO from Betaflight. I have 2 extra AIOs. What's... Oh, that's not good. When did it start? Did it start when you smashed into something? Yeah, when it started is going to be the biggest clue as to what the hell's going on. Matthew Wagner's, we got that? Good call, Matthew. Fucking 10 out of 10, my friend. Uriel says, is it smarter to deinstall and reinstall instead of update? I think I missed some updates, and then the updater is no good anymore, I think. Yeah, it is always way safer. The safest way, and look, you should do this. This is the way that you should update Betaflight. You go to each individual tab that has like settings that you've changed in it, right? So configuration tab, the ports tab, the PIDs tab, the filters drop down. You go to each and every one of those and you just take a screenshot. That's going to take you 3 minutes, right? Like, just you do that, and then you make a little fucking folder, and you put them in there, and it's nice to have. You'll have that folder forever. Put your date on it. Put the AIO on it. Name it something intelligent, and then you update Betaflight, and you leave it the fuck alone. You don't do a diff all. You don't do the backup thing in the presets. You just do a fresh install of Betaflight, and then you take those goddamn screenshots and you go one by one by one. Configuration, ports, bang, 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 bang down the list, and you change all the values, and you probably learn something in the process because there'll be some fucking thing that you always been wondering about, and now in the newer version there's a little tooltip question mark, and you highlight the question, you scroll over the question mark and you read it, and you know more today than you ever did before, and so you're going to read it and it's going to make more sense than ever, and you're going to be like, oh shit, that's what anti-gravity does. That's what anti-gravity does. And like all said and done, it takes you 10 whole minutes, and it's 10 minutes of learning and properly setting things up and not having the fucking RSSI channel 4 come over mysteriously in the diff all because you didn't happen to see that line. Like, I'm really good at deciphering the stuff in the CLI, but I totally missed that. I completely missed that RSSI channel 4 coming over in the CLI. And I deleted like half of the stuff in the diff all in the CLI because like you don't want, between like Betaflight 4.2, 4.3, and 4.5, even like 4.4 to 4.5, you don't want any of like the behind the scenes filtering stuff coming over. It can really screw things up. The filtering does not work the same as it used to. And so if you're going to do a diff all, worst case scenario is you go into presets and you save a backup, because when you do that backup save and it creates the file on your desktop, you don't look at it. And then if you load that preset in, it's going to have a bunch of weird old school filtering shit that might fuck up the much better filtering in the newer version of Betaflight. So like if you're going to do this, going into the CLI and typing diff, diff space ALL, that is the best way of doing it. It shows you everything that you've changed. You copy and paste that into a document or a sticky note or whatever, and then you look through it and you look for everything that's even remotely related to filtering and you delete it. You don't let that come over. But there's all kinds of shit like RSSI channel 4 that you can very easily miss. So don't do that. I was in a hurry when I was doing this. I was excited to go out and fly it before the sun went down. And I did a diff all. As I was doing it, I was like, this is stupid. I shouldn't be doing this. And I, paid the price, but we learned something. So, my mistakes are good. Your mistakes are bad. Unless you bring your mistakes to my live stream so that we can talk about them. And then your mistakes are good because, that's what we're doing, right? We're learning together. It's okay to make mistakes as long as someone benefits. I'm going to rip some of the support material out of the shiny new TPU prints that I made for the Max Frames M2 to get it off of this admittedly pretty cool light blue TPU that Max ships with it. But you know me and Violet Sane Smart TPU. We're like this, man. So yeah, I'm gonna convert this thing over. I'm doing, as I tell you guys over and over again, try not to do one. If you're gonna take something apart, try to wait and do multiple things at a time. These standoffs are gonna strip out. Your motor stator bases are going to strip out. It's not going to happen for a while, but eventually this shit will strip out. And so try not to just like, so I was getting a different antenna for this. So I was like, I'm going to have to pull it apart and swap the antenna thing. I took that as an opportunity to change all of the TPU on it. So I'm doing two things at once. That's a really good way. I learned this back in my airsoft days. We would do upgrades and test and change the shimming. And eventually these things would get wobbly and they would start to just fall apart. And it was like, why is this happening? And it's like, every single day I'm unscrewing and rescrewing these little M1.5 screws, M2 screws, M3 screws. And so the smaller the screw, the quicker it's going to strip out. So try to batch this stuff. If you have one thing that you want to do, try to wait and wait until you break it, and then you got to take it apart to fix it, and then you can do that other thing that you were waiting for. And so yeah, I'm excited. This thing is going to go to purple, and I'm going to put a really nice True RC Singularity on it. Let me actually let me see if I got the right length. I think I got the right length, but it's hard to tell. Nope, I got too long. No, I can make that work. I can make that work. So here's the piece that's gonna hold the. Oh no, I did get too long. Oh, you fucker. What the hell? There's not. What did I get? Oh man, there's not like a length in between. This has to be the right length. I thought for sure this was the right length. It's pretty long. There's going to be a lot of extra antenna. Let's see. If I put that like that, I can probably make this work. If I squiggle the antenna back and forth there, I could probably make this work. I'll try it. I'll try it. Not right now, but yeah. There you go. No, we got that. Sporny says curved standoffs. Nah, that won't work. I mean, it technically would work, but they don't. Nah, it wouldn't work because the screw goes up through the standoff, and that's where it needs to be. Moton says, I built a 75mm with Matrix and P1 VTX, but having a hard time finding long enough M1.2 screws for the stack. Any idea where to find some? M1.2. I have a couple of those on my Etsy store. I have M1.2 by 10 and 12. And maybe even by 8, so I might have the size that you need on my Etsy store. I have had to buy those from eBay, and it's kind of annoying if I'm totally honest. M1.2 screws are a little hard to find, but you can find them. You're gonna have to get like a bag of 100, so it sucks. But yeah, check my Etsy store. If I have the right length for you, awesome. If not, eBay, you can find them. Matthew Wagner says, RSSI channel dropdown, yeah, you need to turn telemetry checkbox back on. Moton says, sorry, M1.3. Oh my god, dude. That is a nightmare. I've looked for M1.3 screws before and struck out. Try eBay, though. Try eBay. Doc Holland, I don't even know if M1.3 exists, but I think it does. Doc Holiday says, thanks, my issues helped us both. Sporny says, the files for the antenna holders are in the Discord, right? What antenna holders? What antenna holders are you talking about? Levster says, why not keep the double bass drum pedal? The left side of the double bass drum pedal forces me to push my hi-hat a little bit farther over to the left, and I just don't... what I play is not really double bass pedal, doesn't really require a double bass pedal anymore. And so being able to pull the hi-hat over a solid amount, like you can pull the hi-hat over like another 6 inches to get it closer to the snare drum. Yeah. And I was also like, ooh, I can sell, because I have a really, the old school, but I don't think they've changed anything, really nice Yamaha bass drum pedal. And I was like, ooh, I can probably sell this. So the Yamaha bass drum pedal is set up so that you can just convert it to double or single bass. And so anybody that has a single bass drum Yamaha pedal I can sell them the double set and make a couple bucks. But the main thing was that I'm just not doing double bass pedal things anymore. FizzPV says, DMG on Discord, I can polish the shell or patina it. Gonna have new tension rods, heads, etc. Also have a vintage Camco single pedal I have no use for, LOL. I don't even know who Camco is. I've been out of drums for so long. And I wasn't like, when I was into drums was kind of like pre-internet. Because I'm an old motherfucker. And so I don't actually know all that much about the drum world. If I were to get back into the drum world right now with access to the internet, I could probably learn more than I ever knew in a fortnight. I don't even know what amount of time a fortnight is, but I'll bet you, however much time it is, I think it's like a week or so. I bet you I could learn more than I ever knew, because that is the unbelievable power of the internet, you know? Kind of wild. thinking back, like drums is like the perfect example of this, right? Like I started playing when I was, I think 9-ish. And I played all through college, and then when I started living in apartments, that was kind of that. And then the internet came and ruined everything. Now, I guess by college, the internet was already around for me, 99, 2000. But I wasn't like, drums was not like a real hobby of mine per se at that point. I was, getting into girls and cars and airsoft, and so yeah, like I'd grown up playing drums, and like it was fun for a long time, but you kind of grow out of things, right? And I decided that I wasn't going to be a music major, and yeah, I was probably a little burned out on having played drums for the past 10 plus years. And so yeah, I never like really do. Most of the knowledge that I got was from taking lessons from a phenomenal jazz drummer, and then just going to like Sam Ash, right? And I guess now it's more Guitar Center. I think Guitar Center has really not killed, but like pushed Sam Ash out a little bit. Man, printing these itty bitty tiny whoop things, sometimes getting the support material out of these is quite the faff, as the Brits would say. So yeah, I never really dove into the drum world to learn a whole lot, but still play better than most. I will not play for you guys because without a proper mic setup, most drum sets pretty much sound like you're banging on pots and pans. So yeah. FizzPV says, I also have a source for wood hoops for it, LOL. I'm a big rim shot guy, so wood hooped snare drums always seemed like a recipe for disaster. Uriel says the screen print copy is a good idea. What's the screen print copy? What's that mean? Uriel says the bad behavior of me is a good example. How not to. It's a sacrifice. Somebody has to be the bad one as example. I'm sure you're not the bad one. Sporny says the antenna holders on your AOS. I think I want to copy your antenna setup. Where did it go? I put it over there. It's license to drive setup. License to drive, universal drop down, and then that's what holds the T antenna up top vertically. Instead of a drop down, I reversed it. And then the AOS files, like the Chris Rosser's AOS antenna files, there's a big chunk in the back in his download. And that's what I'm using. So I'm just using those two. Super simple antenna holder setup. Brandon's Baked Beans is in the house. He says, remember when Betaflight angle mode was okay and there was a change that made it suck? That might be fixed, or at least we may have options come summer. I do remember that. That's pretty cool. God, I haven't flown angle mode in forever. Horizon is my oh shit, I lost video switch. I legitimately cannot remember the last time that I used angle mode. My guess would be it's been at least 6 years, but I do remember that. I wonder if Whoop Racers will start using angle mode again. I think most of them have moved over to acro. That's pretty cool, Brandon. What was, if you can summarize it in 10 words or less, what was it that ruined angle mode? It might be impossible to summarize that in 10 words or less. Fair warning. I guess we should do the thing that I said we were going to do in the thumbnail. Things are not in stock. Nothing's in stock. Let us pray for anything to come back in stock in FPV. Get out of here. Close Photoshop. Jesus. Okay. So Who's looking for something that they can't find that's out of stock? Thanks to the Brain Trust over on our oh my God, Weebleed says Chip Armageddon 2.0. Yeah, that's a big part of the problem. That's true. That's true. This is a 140 millimeter UFL antenna that's actually in stock in left-hand circular polarized for HD. So yeah, I'm gonna snag a couple of these. But yeah, 140 millimeter left-hand circular polarized UFL antennas, very, very, very difficult to find. I think this is the only one that's in stock. Get out of here. Here, I was searching on Pyrodrone, couldn't find anything. So let's look at some new shit. The new shit is going to be in stock. So here we go. ViFly cam switcher. This is actually kind of cool. If you've got multiple cameras on your shit, you can hook this up to a UART and then switch between them. So like forward-facing camera, rear-facing camera, you can switch between them. Very, very cool. Very, very specific, obviously, but nice, small. Away we go. Tactile LEDs. No, get out of here. A bunch of new GPSs. I don't really know anything about GPSs, but these are probably great. The new Raspberry Pi with a transmitter connected could be cool. Not for me. 5215. 52 millimeters wide, 15 millimeters tall. What in the hell? Oh my fucking God, dude. Holy shit. The motor weighs... The motor is not sub 250. Oh my God, dude. What the fuck? The motor weighs 345 grams. Holy shit. What's the KV? 300 KV. Oh my God, dude. That's wild. Holy shit. The motor is almost not sub 399. One motor. Oh my God, dude. That's insane. Hey, Brandon says, so the fix that fixed GPS was bad for angle mode. Interesting, but the new code tries to fix it back to OG silverware angle mode that was well liked by everyone. Very cool. Wowee, man. 345 gram motor. Motor, not full set of motors. Motor. That is wild. Oh my God, I didn't realize... I knew we had these giant motors, but I'd never looked at the weight of them. That's absolute banana pants. Some new HQ propellers, some new HQ 5-inch propellers. Who cares? These are probably some of, if not the best, 5-inch propellers that exist because they're new. 2.9 pitch. That's pretty low pitch. But a lot of these 5-inch motors are very high kV nowadays, so these probably make really good power. And they're fun colors. Oh, okay. Well, your choice is gray, 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 or gray. So there you go. Personally, I would wait for purple. I love that they're doing this dark purple for these. That's pretty slick. Pyrodrone has some of the good Tiny Whoop propellers. Huzzah! 1.2 by 1.1 by 3. These are the old school pitchy HQ ultralights, but they're still really good. These are the HQ ultralight 1.6 by 1.2s. These are my absolute favorite 1S 75 millimeter motor to motor Whoop propellers. And then they've even got the 1.2 inch bi-blades. So yeah, these are hysterical. These were what were on the Air 65 Champion on its last flight before the ELRS blew up. These are really, really, really fun outside. Inside the house, these 1.2 by 1.2 bi-blades are a little too slidey for me. They're fun, don't get me wrong, they're very, very fun, but like trying to, you know, duck between your couch and your coffee table like over and over and over again, they're going to be a little bit slidey and you're going to hit the couch a lot. Some giant 8-inch props, who cares? HD0 radio controller. This is an interesting product for thumbers. $60 is a really good price. Looks like it comes in a really nice case. That's kind of slick. I have not really looked into this because I pinch, but this is probably awesome. HD0 has been absolutely nailing electronics and just pretty much everything. It's I feel like such a freak that like I don't like HD0's video platform, but like everything else they make is awesome. And so yeah, this is probably really good. Looks like Nick has a video. Watch that and listen to him. He is the best. It's got a head tracker port. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is probably amazing, and $60 is a good price. Gemfan 1611 tri-blades with a 1.5mm motor shaft. I tried these. I did not find these to be as well balanced as the HQ ultralights. But for $3, get yourself a set if you're doing a Pyro Drone order and give them a shot. 1207s, these are really good, but they're a little fragile. Very similar to the Azzy props in their durability. And then Gemfan 1614 tri-blades with a 1mm shaft. That 1mm shaft is going to bend lots of motors on a 1.6-inch prop rig. They've got the new Air 65 frames. This is the, okay, so this is the, I assumed that one of these was the non-champion, the other was the champion. No, this is quantity 2. This is quantity 1. Whatever. This is a great frame, very slidey. This is in my opinion, sort of like a racing frame for 1.2-inch propeller tiny whoops, indoor tiny whoops. I like this frame outside though. This is the frame that was on the Air 65 champion that just died. Really, really, really fun outside, really fast for racers, but for indoor freestyle, I prefer the Cockroach 65 V3 frame. The new Betaflight motors in the Mega KV, very cool. 36,000 0702 if you want the most powerful 702. Here it is, 36,000. The racing is the racing 25,000? I thought it was 30,000. No, they've got this wrong. The racing is okay. They've got the picture right, but they've got the text wrong here. Yeah, the racing motor is 30,000 kV. Mine are not purple though. Mine are blue. That's a little weird. But as you see, it's 30,000. And then Freestyle is 27, I believe. No, 25. So I think they copied and pasted the KVs from the 802s. These are good motors. I really like these racings. These 30,000 kV racing motors. This is really good. Again, these are the same Betaflight 070230s or what were on that rig that just died. So plenty of power. I think that these Champion 36,000s are a little bit overkill. I think that you're going to be totally happy with the 30,000s. I don't think you're going to get them in purple though. I think they're going to come in blue. If they are purple, that's pretty slick. I like that a little bit better actually. This is what my 30,000s look like. They're this blue. The new Betaflight 802s only have a 1mm motor shaft. As you can see, it necks down to 1mm, and that's just going to bend, so I don't recommend these. It sounds like the 28,000s do make really good power, though, so that's good. But yeah, the tree toppers are a 1.5mm motor shaft. The Gep RC 1002 25,000s are also a 1.5mm motor shaft. That's a much better idea. But these are probably pretty damn good for an 802. The Betaflight Hexa charger, they sent me one. Within 1 or 2 cycles, the fan inside of it failed. The Vifly, also, the Hexa charger will only work with USB-C. The Wi-Flies have USB-C as well as XT60, and that's really, really, really nice. So, what I will say about the Hexa charger is you can crank it all the way up to 3 amps. What it does is it gives you 0.5 amps, 1 amp, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. This is a 1S battery charger. If you try to charge up like a little 500 mAh or 480 or God forbid a 300 mAh battery at 3 amps, that's 10S. That's bad. That's going to hurt that battery. If you need a 1S BT 2.0 charger that will go up to 3 amps, this is your only option. That's the only reason that I think you should buy this. Everybody else should get the Wi-Fi Whoopster. Having XT60 is amazing. It's a great way of, if you charge a bunch of 6S batteries and you go out and you don't fly them all, bring those home, hook them up to your Wi-Fi, and charge your Tiny Whoop batteries and fly your Tiny Whoop around the house. It's the awesome way to discharge those batteries, right? It's really disappointing that this Hexa charger doesn't have XT60. That's the thing that is really rough for me. The one that I got, the fan failing, I could probably pull it apart and fix it. I probably just got, a bad one. I mean, I definitely got a bad one, but I probably got a rare bad one. This is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, not having XT60, that's a little rough. And having it go all the way up to 3 amps is just asking to make a mistake and hurt your batteries. They've got the new Matrix 1S. Ooh, $72. That's a lot of money. But if it doesn't blow up, which it seems like it's not, that's good. And they've got the new Air V2s. SkyStar 60 amp BL Heli 32. Yikes. Hopefully it's on a newer version of BL Heli 32. They're not calling that out. They're not calling out the version of BL Heli 32 that it's on, which is rough. I have to assume that it's on a newer version of BL Heli 32. Yeah, there we go. Flashed with the latest BL Heli 32 firmware in factory. Okay, so that's good. I don't know though, man. I would have a hard time buying a new ESC that is BL Heli 32 versus AM 32, or I would actually rather buy an 8-bit ESC at this point that I can put Blue Jay on, and I don't have to worry about the fact that BL Heli 32 is dead. So yeah, that's tough. The folks that do spend a lot of time looking at black box logs love the SkyStars stuff, which basically means that they don't have much electrical noise. Whether or not the SkyStars stuff will survive bando bashing, I have no idea. But if you're building a rig that is not going to get smashed to hell, where electrical noise is more important than durability, the SkyStars stuff, from what I've heard, is really, really good. 60 amps, that is admittedly overkill. 3 to 6S, 30 by 30, pretty standard fare. Nice big pads here for the battery leads, and then separate holes for the capacitor. I love that. Little heat sink on the top. Pads for in case the JST plug to plug into the flight controller, if that ever breaks off, you've got these pads. I absolutely love that. These motor pads are a little bit on the small side, but they're fine. They're fine. So this, I don't know. I would pause because it's BL Heli 32, but if they've got the most recent firmware on there, you should be fine. You should never need to reinstall BL Heli 32, but if something weird happened, that's going to be a problem. So yeah, I don't know about that. Looks like they've got a little screwdriver kit. That's pretty slick. This looks like the screwdriver where you can put a bunch of these inside the handle, which is super handy. Whoa, $80. Yikes. That's a bit much. If you can put, you certainly won't be able to fit all of these inside of the handle, but as long as you can fit the most popular ones that you use inside of the handle, that's really nice. But boy, $80 is a lot. Jesus. They've got two of them. I don't know why they have two of them. They look like they're the same thing. Whatever. 850 MAH2S if you want to do a long-range 2S mission, I guess. HD0 Whoop V2 bundle, Nano V3 camera. I'm not an HD0 guy, but if you are, there you go. I did get a set of these Betaflight Lava V2 2S 580 mAh batteries. I haven't flown them yet, but I have them. So I will be checking these out. Should be good. They're XT30. I wish that they made a set of these in BT 3.0. Big ass 6S 4500 mAh battery. That's kind of fun for $132. Jesus. 3S 650. Who's flying 3S? GNB 1S 720s with the. Oh no, it's an A30. I thought it was the GNB 27. I was gonna be like, wow, that's worthless. I don't know, man. The Lava V2s are, I think, the way to go. This also has the BT 2.0 on the little wire. If you need a battery with the little wired BT 2.0, there you go. Weird stuff. Oh, well, it's sold out. But actually, I'm always curious when there's a hardware kit. Usually there are glaring omissions from it. Let's see. M2. Ooh, lots of M2 stuff. That's pretty cool. Usually these hardware kits don't have much M2 stuff, but it looks like M2 by 3, 5. I can't tell. I can't read it. This is a pretty big hardware kit. This might be a good hardware kit. I wish some of these pictures were big enough to actually read what's in there. Look at that guy. How much you want to bet this is an AI image? I hope it's not. M3 by 18, M3. It jumps from M3 by 18 to M3 by 27. That's quite confusing. Whoa. Well, I mean, it's sold out. $90. $90. That's a lot of dollars. Ah, there's a list. Oh, okay, so it's a lot. 50 of these. That's a lot. M3 by 6, 8. Oh, and then they've got, look, they've got conical and then button head. That's pretty slick. Look at this jump from M3 by 18 to 27. That's a little weird. This is 50 of each of these. Like, that's, you're never gonna use 50. Oh, they got some cool stuff here though. A whole bunch of standoffs. Not many. I would rather see these quantities go way down and the variety go way up. If I'm paying $90 for a hardware kit, I don't want 50 M3 by 6s. That I'm never going to use 50 M3 by 6s. These motor wire shields suck. Don't use these. Male and female XT60s and XT30s. That's cool and all. Hopefully these are good capacitors. Oh, look at all this stuff. Okay. Oh, and it's got some tools. This is a big hardware kit. But boy, $90. For somebody, this is going to be great, but for $90, you can buy an awful lot of the specific hardware that you need. That's tough. That's a tough sell. That's a lot of dollars. It's out of stock, though, so you can't get it anyway. Jesus, it's 9:02 already. Let me get caught up on chat, and then we can all go enjoy the rest of our Friday nights. How the hell? I guess we just were in chat for a long time. FizzPV says you need to go to the Memphis drum shop. That's too far, man. Memphis is like 4 hours away. But it's a whole drum shop? That's pretty cool. If I'm ever up that way, I'll forget. Matthew Wagner says, you should buy one of those huge motors just to have it on your desk. Oh, don't fucking say that, because I will. That's such a good idea. Brandon Zipin says, oh, no, we got that. Strager says, just built a new rig on a Matrix V2 plus tree topper, ultralight 40mm bi-blade. How can I prevent props rubbing on ducts? Go into turtle mode and just crank them up. When you go into turtle mode, it makes upward thrust, and that pushes the blades down, and the ducts are like this. So it'll push the blades into the duct, and it'll self-clearance, and away you go. Levster says, Betaflight charges more for us than EU customers. Check general nonsense for me. It's only $55. That's weird. That is weird. But charging Americans more than the rest of the world at this point is patriotic, and I don't blame anyone for doing it. And I kind of encourage people to do it. Yukon FPV says, check the KV on the blue motors. Everyone I saw the race got purple frame and motors. I'm pretty sure I when I got them, I looked, and they said 30, and they certainly felt like they were 30,000 kV. They're definitely blue, right? Racing, 30,000 kV. Yeah, weird, man. 0702 30,000. They fly great. This is the Air V2 race that they sent me, and it's great. I've been blown away by this thing, and it is now the only 65mm 1.2 inch prop Beta FPV build that has survived. Get in there. There it goes. Oh, should I move that over to the red setup? I should move this over to the red setup. Yeah. Meh, see? Meh. Yeah, I'm going to move that over to the red camera and the red bing bong and the red kling klong. El Chingon says, I run 2S BT 3.0 batteries on some of my micros. Not a lot of BT 3.0s out there. I know, that's why I was hoping that those would be. And I worry about them being phased out. What do you think? I love the time I get out of them. I hope not, man. It's a great connector. And yeah, I never even thought about that. They better not. They better not phase it out, those jackasses. It's so much lighter. It's not so much lighter, but it is lighter than XT30 with a big old balance lead hanging off the side. Matthew Wagner says, I bought one of those motors, priority shipping, maybe Wednesday arrival. It's... thank you, dude. That's cool. Maybe Wednesday arrival is straight to you. We're gonna get to see what a what was it, 345 gram motor looks like. Oh my god. Uriel says, such building kit. If it all good fitting together, it's a nice kit. True. Yeah, like I've always there've been a bunch of screw kits that have come out, and the best one that's ever come out was FPV Crate. This little hardware kit here. This is like the best one that doesn't miss. They always miss stuff. There's always like glaring omissions from these hardware kits. Like, oh, where the M2 screw size is going to start at like M2 by 8. No, you need M2 by 6 and M2 by 4 for a lot of stuff. You actually also need M2 by 5. That's a miss on this kit. This kit goes M2 by, you can't get this kit anymore, by the way, but it goes M2 by 4 to 6 to 8. Some arm and motor setups will need M2 by 5. But yeah, this is one of the best kits. Unfortunately, it's just a little kit. It's only a 10 slot thing. Yeah, it's wild that no one has ever been able to create a proper hardware kit that kind of hits all the bases. But to be honest, like, it's extremely difficult because you need M2 by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You don't really need M2 by 9. You can skip to 10. You can go from 8 to 10, and then you can go 12, 14, 16, 18. But then you got to go all the way up to like M2 by 26, I think it is. I think M2 by 26 is the longest size that you'll really ever need, because stacks. You need big, long stack screws sometimes, right? And I think it's 26 that you realistically, because like standoff height, right? Like if you're going to run an M2 screw up through a base plate, the base plate can potentially be 3 millimeters thick. So 26 minus 3 becomes 23 millimeters tall. And then 23 millimeter standoffs are about as tall as you're ever going to go. So if you've got 23 millimeters of screw height above your base plate and you've got a 23 millimeter standoff, you'll, right? Like, and most frames don't use 23 millimeter standoffs. Most frames are a little bit shorter than that on the standoff length. So M2 by 26 is needed sometimes. But yeah, it's tough to do. Striker says, forgot to mention frame choice, motor height issue thing. I'm on the Air 75 2 frame. If you need to boost the motor up a little bit, then you need longer motor screws and spacers. I think I still have the spacers on my Etsy, but Weebleed and Tiny Whoop also sell motor spacers. FizzPV says, I still have the Wandering Whoop. LOL, you have 2 technically. Oh my god, I forgot all about the Wandering Whoop. Very cool. Enjoy it. Break it. Perk27 says, in what stream did you show how to remove the ground plane to make it lightweight? I've shown it a bunch of times, but I actually did it on, what's today? Friday? I did it on Wednesday's stream. It's pretty straightforward though. You just cut the shrink wrap off, and then you'll see on the top of the ground plane, you'll see the solder. And so you just heat that solder up and pull that ground plane off, and you're done. Bonus points if you put a little piece of shrink wrap there, because you'll see there's some exposed like solder, but yeah, that's it. Uriel with the last comment of the live stream, he says, I thought it was a complete drone build kit. No. Maybe. You might be able to do a whole build with that kit. Is that why it's $90? I guess it is. I guess it is a full build kit, because it's got like tools, it's got... That's why they're selling it for $90. That's why they have a picture of a 5-inch rig in here. Launching from the kit. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But I guarantee you there's going to be a screw length that you need that's not in here. Thanks for hanging, friends. CiottiFPV.com to support me. Join my Patreon. That's the best way that you can do it. And enjoy the majesty of flight. Enjoy watching me chase some little RC drift cars around here. I'll see you guys on Sunday. And yeah, have an excellent Friday night and Saturday. Where the hell is... There it is. There we go. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, they zooming through hoops, flipping in style.
sticks, Teddy's on pause. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Saudi behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive. Teddy push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this